Hello everybody and welcome back to another Sims 4 video, and today we are trying something new. We do things a little differently around here now. This is the first time I'm ever trying this, and maybe it will help us create our own niche in the Sims 4 community. So basically what I'm trying to say is I hate doing voiceovers for my Sims 4 speed builds in general. I find them really hard to do. I struggle to fill up space, and most of the time it's me talking about things that you're watching me do as I'm saying them. And so I don't know, half of the time I'm talking about nonsense anyway, and so I'm gonna take this opportunity to speak on something that's on my mind, which is the Menendez brothers. It's probably not a topic appropriate for a Sims 4 video, but again, maybe it will help us create a niche. Before I get into it, however, I do want to speak upon this build. And if you are subscribed to this channel, if you're watching me on a regular basis, you will know that I am on a mission to renovate most of the community lots in my Sims 4's save file that is specifically dedicated to my Let's Play series, which is the Kaplans. I will link it in the description if you want to check it out. We are kind of on a roll with renovating lots in Windenburg specifically. I have already turned the old quarter inn, which is a bar lot by default. I turned that into a boba slash thrift tea store, and then I've completely rebuilt the Von Hunt estate. And now we're turning the slot, which used to be a gym, into a park, which I know there's already a park in the world of Windenburg, but I'm actually going to be turning that lot into a karaoke bar, and then this one is going to be a bar. I'm kind of catering for my younger Sims a little bit more because in the world of Windenburg specifically, there's not really a lot of things for them to do. They can go to the pool, I guess, but they're not able to go to the bars and the nightclubs, and so doing karaoke bars is a workaround because you can have teens hang around there. Obviously, they're not supposed to drink, but they're still able to at least use the karaoke machine. And then parks, they have a basketball, not machine, I was about to say machine. They have a basketball hoop or a court. And then there's also a playground equipment. So that's also catering for my younger Sims. I am still going to include a gym area in the basement level for our adult Sims. There's obviously going to be a couple of barbecue grills to grab some foods, or if you want, there are going to be food stalls in the back of the lot, kind of where you can order food. Yes, you have to hire the vendors, but if you really want to, you can cheat the money back into your household inventory so you don't have to worry about paying them. And also it's a way for you to grab food from there too. And I want to do a quick shout out to Devon Pumpkin, aka Aiden, who inspired the whole basement kind of area. In one of his Build the World series of the San Myshuno Park, he went ahead and kind of opened up the basement level to add more space and activities for the Sims to do, and I was definitely inspired by that build specifically in this slot. So I definitely want to source my homework, and I definitely want to give credit where credit is due. Aiden, shout out, love him, love his builds. So now that's out of the way, I will definitely link his channel in the description too. So there's going to be a lot of goodies in the description, so make sure you check it out. I will link all the builds that I talked about and also my Kaplan series, obviously. And a couple of things before we get into it, I want to say that you will see me try and place a little splash pad area for our toddler Sims and stuff like that. It just wasn't looking right in this specific lot, and it wasn't big enough to include that area. I definitely wanted other activities to be included in this slot other than the splash pad, so we ended up scrapping that idea. And also, I want to say that originally I was about to scrap this slot because I just wasn't really happy with the overall look of this slot, but I definitely stuck to it and I kept going back and adding more details, and I eventually did like it. I will say I usually give up on builds fairly easily or early on in the build process, but I'm really glad that I stuck this one out because I'm really happy with how this slot turned out 100%. It's pretty simple in concept, but I think there's a lot of activities for a different array of age groups to be able to enjoy it, and the location of this slot is 10 out of 10, 100%. But now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the Menendez brothers. Quick disclaimer, I probably have added that in the beginning of this video, but basically what I'm gonna talk about is probably not appropriate for people under 18. I know it's a Sims 4, and Sims 4 is technically rated T for teen, so it's meant for audiences 13 and over. But obviously, it's a speed build, and this is my channel, so I'll speak upon whatever I feel like. And this specific topic is just not appropriate for people under 18. So consider yourself warned. If you still want to watch this, you can put me on mute and put on, I don't know, fucking SpongeBob or something. But definitely put me on mute or click off this video. So my first introduction to the Menendez brothers, like most people, was on TikTok when it first became popular, which was back in 2019. I was scrolling through TikTok and their court hearings were starting to pop out on my For You page. And I sat and I listened to a lot of the things that they were saying. And their testimony was filled with a lot of heartbreaking things, a lot of trauma that had went on in their early childhood. And so while I was kind of listening to all the horrible things that had went through in their childhood, I put together that the pages that I was watching these TikToks from were labeled things like "Free the Menendez Brothers," "Justice for the Menendez Brothers," and things like that. And so that's how I kind of put it together that they were still sentenced to go to jail for basically murdering their mom and dad, who had been abusing them sexually basically their entire childhood. The mom wasn't involved that way, however, she knew about what was going on behind closed doors and chose to stay silent, do nothing, and stay with her awful husband. And so I'll just, as you can imagine, incredibly traumatic events, a lot of heartbreak that was going on behind the doors. This is a famous case, by the way, that happened in 1989. I believe it was one of the first court cases to ever be televised, so you can imagine the media traction that it was getting. And specifically back in that day, sexual abuse specifically to boys was not a very common thing or very spoken about thing. It was a lot more taboo, and it really wasn't believed that boys can be sexually assaulted. But obviously that was during the 1989 mentality. If that case had happened now, I truly believe that they would have been walking free right now. Obviously they would still have served time for committing a murder, but I don't believe that they would have been sentenced for life in jail. That's my personal belief. And by the way, everything that I'm saying is going to be coming straight from me. I can be mistaken on a couple of accounts, so do excuse me if I say anything wrong. I'm not trying to spread misinformation. I also encourage everyone to do their own research. There's a lot of documentaries out there about the Menendez brothers. There's one coming out in August or October 7th on Netflix. And then there's already a couple out, I believe. There's one on HBO Max, which I have seen. And in that one specifically, it talks about how TikTok brought a lot of traction to the Menendez brothers case, which is funny enough is how I learned about them in the first place. And so that was my basic introduction to the Menendez case back in 2019. I've since deleted TikTok, and I wasn't really getting any content anywhere else on social media about this specific case. And when I re-downloaded TikTok, my algorithm was not showing me the Menendez case. But as some of you may know, that Netflix has released a series which is labeled Monsters, the Menendez Brothers, I believe it's called, produced by Ryan Murphy, which has done things like the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix. He has done American Horror Story and also Scream Queens with Ariana Grande. Shout out. But yes, basically, when I first heard about the series and I saw the trailer, I was so excited to, first of all, be reminded of the Menendez brothers case, but also hoping that this new series that will be introduced to Netflix will shed some light on the injustice that the Menendez brothers went through. So I was very hopeful in that thought process of thinking that maybe this series will maybe be the start of something good for them. To my shock, it wasn't the case. So that's sort of my spark to talk about this case in a public format. I literally do not have a single person to talk to this about. There's memes of, I don't have anyone to talk to this to. That's literally me about the Menendez brothers. And so here I am, hoping that maybe some people will engage in the comments of this video or maybe bring awareness to whoever does not know about this case. I'm probably not the source to come to about this. Like I said, I just want to bring it to the general attention. And if you want to learn more, please do your own research. This is all coming from my brain. I don't even have anything written down. It's going to be very jumbled and muffled. So yes, I definitely do not want anyone to quote me on anything. But before I even started watching that specific series, something had come up on my Twitter timeline about the fact that the series was hinting on an incestuous relationship between the brothers, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And it even had a scene of them kissing. Yes, not very passionately, it was a quick peck, but it was definitely not how I interact with my brother, and so it was definitely a little bit weird. And so when I was finally watching the series, the specific scene in my head kind of not made sense, but I can kind of chuck it off at being nothing, because in that specific context, the brother had just been done doing a rail of cocaine in the living room, and he walked up to his brother talking about some room service very passionately, and they shared the quick peck. But the only thing with that specific scene, it does make it look canon, which I personally believe to be very ignorant of the general public to ever perceive the relationship to be incestuous or to ever hint about it is kind of ridiculous. Obviously, I don't know what the relationship dynamic is between them, but it's not for me to discuss. Again, I personally don't believe that any of that was going on. And so the Ryan Murphy justified the entire series by saying he was trying to show multiple points of views and also represent the media's perception of the case to kind of make sense of everything that was being said, even if it is defamation, even if it was false and not accurate. He still wanted to show everyone's point of view, even the abuser's side, which were the mom and dad, and also all of the dumb, horrible things that the media was writing about the Menendez brothers. And so I definitely think that Ryan Murphy did a great job at doing what he set out to do. I just personally don't think that the angle he took was the right one to take. I was hoping that the series would paint Lyle and Erik in a better light. The series was kind of up to interpretation to who the monsters really were, which I believe were the parents, because no parent should ever treat their kids that way. And obviously murder is wrong, like no one is saying that it's not, but in this specific case you can understand why they did what they did. And even though there was no evidence to prove that the night the murder happened that the parents were going to harm Erik and Lyle in any way, because they probably weren't, if we're being realistic. But I can definitely see why in Erik and Lyle's minds, if they were in that situation, I can see myself thinking the same way, and I can definitely justify what they did. As horrible as that sounds, I truly believe that if you treat people badly and you don't expect them to retaliate at some point, that's just foolish on your part. And that definitely makes me think of current world events in the past couple of years. I don't want to get into it. Some of you may know what I'm talking about, some of you may not. But all that to say that I find it really hard to want to recommend the Menendez series on Netflix, the Ryan Murphy one, obviously, just because of the inaccurate representation that was shown, even though it was through the media's perception in 1989. I think it's still very harmful to maybe whoever is watching it that doesn't know all the facts and haven't watched or kept up with the specific case. And so I can definitely see if you just want to tune in to the program and you have no background of the Menendez brothers whatsoever, that you could think that they were douchebags, because that's what they were painted as. Specifically Lyle, he was painted as this very rich snobby jerk, basically. And from my own perception of what I have seen, and even a lot of family members to the brothers and coaches and friends and classmates and everyone they've known, they said that they were outstanding people. They were very kind, they were very hardworking, and none of it was shown in the series. And in fact, it was the complete opposite, in my opinion. And so it was definitely a lot of things that I would have done differently personally if I was directing the series. And so that's kind of my main gripe with it. And one of the other things that I found to be inaccurate, again, it's my own perception, is that Lyle was the better spoken one, and Erik kind of struggled a little bit more on the stand, whereas I found it to be the other way around. Obviously, they both had their moments. You can imagine when you're talking about something so traumatic in your own personal life that anyone would be able to keep it together. I definitely wouldn't be able to, and I don't expect him to. But I bring that up just to say that the way that Lyle in particular was painted to be meticulous, very mischievous, very cunning with his speech and with his testimony, I found that to be very false and not very accurate and representative of what I have personally seen in my own research. And so I definitely caution whoever wants to watch that series. I full-heartedly recommend you look up documentaries, look up the facts, watch as many footage as you can about the actual case. And then if you choose to watch the program on Netflix, that I'll leave that up to you. I just can't, in good conscience, recommend the series to anyone who does not know a single fact about the Menendez case. With that being said, the acting was 10 out of 10. Episode 5 makes me sob just thinking about it. The fact that it was shot in one cut was insane to me. I don't know if they took any breaks or anything like that. It was a 35-minute episode where Erik was talking about the abuse, his relationship with his mom, and then his lawyer, Leslie Abramson, who was played by Ari Graynor. My God, am I in love with Leslie Abramson in general. Like, I went to a spiral or a rabbit hole just watching so many interviews with her. I love that woman. She's 80 years old, and I believe she lives in New York. I was so happy to find out that she's still kicking it. She's alive. She's thriving. And I just wish the best for that woman, because she really did the best that she can. And even though they were not released, they were able to get life in prison, which beats the gas chambers, which is what they were up against. So that woman was God sent. for sure. And so she kind of was chiming in with that episode of her own relationship with her parents, how her dad left her and that she would never forgive him for what he had done, and that she was basically giving Erik the permission to never forgive his parents for what they had done to him. And so it was kind of like a moment of clarity for him, and it was very moving. And so yeah, everything else about the series was incredible. The acting, the set design, the actors that they chose to play those characters seem so likable and down to earth. Except for the lady that played Judeline Smith. She's in American Horror Story. In every character she plays in that goddamn show, she is so unlikable and annoying, and it drives me up a wall, and it's starting to affect the way that I associate this specific actor, which is very problematic. I admit, don't ever dislike a character or an actor based on a character that they played, because that is not fair. That's just a sign of good acting. And so that's what I'm trying to tell myself about her, because I'm really finding it hard. Leslie Grossman, like, put her in some good roles already. It's getting out of hand. But anyway, I believe that includes everything that I want to say. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that I want to say about this specific case, mainly free the Menendez brothers. I'm hoping that justice will be served, but I will leave that there because we are basically out of time. We are currently just finishing up this park, and before we wrap up the video, I'm going to be jumping into the game and giving you a grand tour of what's to come in this lot. Alright, this is it in all her glory. Really not a lot to see. Like I said, this is basically only a main level thing. We've got a small basement. Let's go ahead and unpause the game. And then as you load into the lot, this is where you spawn. We've got a little bus station, waiting seat or whatever. We've got a sign for the park. And then if we go here, those are kind of blocking the pedestrian area, so no motorcycles or anything like that cross. Chess tables are a requirement. Playground equipment. We've got this spaceship looking one. We've got the monkey bars, more chess tables, and then a basketball hoop or a court with an incredible view. Imagine playing basketball while looking at that. Right here, we've got some vending machines or vending stalls if you want to grab anything. The stairs here was definitely strategic to match up with this entrance area, so let's go ahead and show you in the basement. If we go downstairs, we've got a lot of tables, some seating benches, some grilling tables, this beautiful fountain with the water running, a strategically placed utility closet, aka a woohoo spot. We've got some bathrooms here along with the changing tables for your infants / toddlers. They are identical. No showers. I felt like that would be kind of weird to have showers in a park. And then this is our little gym area, completed with treadmills, punching bags, and then the lifting machines. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire lot. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and a thumbs up, or like and a thumbs up. Give it a like and a subscribe for more content like this. Let me know if you enjoyed me talking about the Menendez brothers as we build. It's kind of a weird format, but maybe it will become our new thing. I don't know. And if you want to download the slot, it is on my gallery already. It is labeled the Likey Center. It's basically like Center Park. I was trying to stay with an accent and it wasn't working. If you do want to get it, it is on there. And with that, I'll bid you farewell. Bye 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 bye.